Hey, welcome back. I'm going to do another video here answering nothing but your questions. Let's dig in. Hooked Up Fishing asks, what's the best flip you ever had? Well, Hooked Up Fishing, you know what? Every time I'm outsourcing, anytime I see Beanie Babies, I'm picking them up because those things are like gold. And people just don't know that they actually have value. They are worth so much money, and I find them all over the place. I've become, you should see my bank account. It's ridiculous how much money is in my bank account from Beanie Babies alone. They're just... you thought the craze was over. You're wrong. They're still out there selling. So buy as many Beanie Babies as you possibly can and get rich like me. No, but really, I don't know. What was the best flip I have? I'm pretty sure it was some sort of clock. This has been asked before. I can just look here. All sold. Jaeger La Coulter. I don't know how to say this, but it sold for $1,224, and I had a net return of $866.02. Cost of goods was $130. Second best flip was a Department 56 Dr. Seuss Grinch Village piece. Another Dr. Seuss vintage Grinch piece was number 3. Some Kohler stuff, number 4. I sold a VHS Back to the Future 1989 factory sealed for $375. That was a really good one. I sold a Life magazine, single issue Life magazine for $356. That was a good one. So I got some fun ones in there. The Beard of Reason asks, where do you pick up your Kohler pallet returns? How do you find them? Well, I just go on Facebook and an ad will pop up and it'll say, check out these pallets for, it's usually like $45 in free shipping for a full pallet of equipment like Kohler returns or Milwaukee tools. And yeah, $45, you get an entire pallet, thousands and thousands of dollars of inventory delivered right to your door for $45. It's pretty amazing. I definitely recommend that you go on Facebook ads. You pick whichever ad you see that is going to give you the lowest price. Even if it sounds too good to be true, it's not too good to be true. No, don't. Please don't do that. If you're going to buy a pallet of stuff, always buy it in person. Don't buy it online. I'm sure that there are good deals to be had online. I'm not saying everyone selling pallets out there online are scammers, but if you get an ad popping in your face about something that looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Nobody is selling pallets that have thousands of dollars worth of inventory for $45 or some extremely small amount. Why would they do that? They're not running a charity. They're scamming you. They're trying to get your money. So always do pallets in person locally. Most major metropolitan areas are going to have services that sell things by the pallet. There's a couple of them here in the St. Louis area. This Kohler pallet that I got though was through a personal connection of someone I met through Facebook. And so that I would recommend you, when you're out talking to people, let them know you're a reseller. A lot of people kind of want to keep that close to the chest because they feel weird about it. But I've made a lot of great connections by talking to other people who are resellers or saying that I'm a reseller to people who aren't resellers who've given me a lot of inventory. So I recommend you do the same. Don't buy stuff online. All right. Globe Gaming asks, hey, Justin, great content. Thanks for your advice. You're welcome. My question is about feedback. As a seller, I don't give feedback to buyers until I receive feedback from them first. I do this to protect myself if they decide to try and swindle me by lying or saying something doesn't work when I tested it, etc. Am I being too paranoid? I just want some ammo if I think they are being flatulent. Is that what that says? You're right. If a buyer has too much gas, do not leave them feedback, positive or negative. You just want to stay away from that as much as you possibly can. No, but really, yeah, I do that too. I do the exact same thing. I don't leave feedback for a buyer until after feedback is left. Positive feedback is left by them for me. That's actually a setting on eBay. You can automate that. You can say, don't leave feedback for a buyer until they leave feedback to me. So I just don't. I have that set and I just forget about it. I don't manually leave feedback for anyone. And I recommend you do the same. And I do it for that reason. I don't want to leave positive feedback for a buyer that hasn't already confirmed that they have closed out the transaction with positive feedback back for me. Because what if they throw a fit? What if it's not a positive experience for me? I don't want to leave that too early. And I also don't want to raise the idea with eBay that I was happy with a sale when, if something happens, I wasn't happy with a sale. And if I have left positive feedback before the transaction is actually complete, and I know the seller is happy, then that could hurt my chances of eBay siding with me if there are issues later on. So you're doing the right thing. I just want some ammo if I think they are being flatulent. Hey, before jumping into this next question, I regularly get people asking how they can support this channel beyond just watching these videos, which is amazing. I seriously, I can't tell you how surprised and humbled I am by the support y'all have given me with this channel. It means so much. I really can't thank you enough. But you've probably noticed I don't do all the common things that other channels do. Like I don't run sponsorships, even though I get requests almost daily. I turn them all down because I can't in good conscience recommend stuff that I don't personally use and get value from. By the way, have you ever shaved using Cremo? It's amazing stuff and I fully recommend it even though they're not a sponsor. I don't sell courses or have a membership program or Patreon that you can subscribe to. No offense to those that do. I think they're pretty cool and I kind of wish that I had one too, but I just don't personally have the time to be able to do that in a quality way. And that's because a majority of my time not already spent reselling stuff on eBay and making YouTube videos about it is on Flipwise, the eBay automation platform that I built. So I no longer have to keep messy spreadsheets updated to understand how my business is performing or be ready for taxes. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this product and I'm obviously biased, but I think it's leaps and bounds beyond anything else out there and I'm super proud of it. So if you're interested in supporting the channel beyond just watching my videos, that's the best way to do it. Becoming a member of Flipwise ensures we can continue to build awesome new features like this one we're about ready to release, which allows you to record sales when they happen outside of eBay, no matter which marketplace they sell on. You can get more information at flipwise.app and I'll leave a link in the description below. Lloyd Jones asks, thanks for the great content. Do you think the quantity of listings, multiple listings at a time, or consistency in listing something every day, helps attract more sales? That's a pretty good question. Both. My answer is both. I think both are important. You want to do a quantity and you want to do as many listings as you can. And you want to be as consistent as you possibly can. You missed one keyword though. That's quality. You want quality inventory too. So you could list 1 million things a day. And if they're low demand and nobody wants to buy them, nobody's going to buy them. So the 3 Qs, we should start talking about that. The 3 Qs, quality, quantity, and what was the other one? Oh, consistency. That's not a Q, that's a C. QQC. Those are the rules. QQC, quality, quantity, and consistency. That's going to equal success. Quality inventory. What is the other Q? Quantity. As much of it as you possibly can. Consistency, listing it as frequently as you can. Those are the 3 keys of success. QQC. Nobody can steal that. Don't take it from me. Ramsesruz asks, hey JR, is JR taking off? Are people now going to call me JR from now on? Whatever, I'll take it. How do you show I bought something from a garage sale and then deducted it at the end of the year since there are no receipts? It doesn't matter. You don't need to keep track of your records in any sort of way whatsoever. You just buy stuff and sell it and don't worry about it. The IRS doesn't care if you make a little bit of extra money here and there. No, I'm just kidding. Garage sales, just make your own receipts basically. You just want to keep a ledger, So if you're buying stuff to resell at a place that does not give you a receipt, just somehow record it. I've heard a lot of great ideas of how people record stuff that they buy at garage sales. So some people just keep a journal, for example. Somebody left a comment about they text message themselves. So it has the timestamp and the date stamp and all the information, which is a pretty cool way to do it. A lot of people use a spreadsheet. I put all my cost of goods for stuff like that into Flipwise so that it automates the rest of the record keeping process for me. So tons of different ways you can do it. You just definitely want to make sure you're keeping track of that stuff, even if you don't have a receipt, because you want to be able to lower your taxable income when it comes tax time. Because eBay, when you sell some stuff, they're going to say that you sold a gross amount that includes sales tax, it includes returns, it includes fees, all sorts of stuff that are expenses to you, including your cost of goods. And so you need to list out all those expenses, reduce that gross income down to your actual net income, how much you actually made after expenses, and that's what you get taxed on. So you want to lower that taxable income all the way down. So keep track of your stuff. Brad asks, on a day of unsuccessful sourcing, have you ever been tempted to buy a not so great value item just to make the trip worthwhile? Brad, no, I'd never make mistakes. Every time I go out sourcing, thrifting, garage selling, wherever, I always come home with hundreds and thousands of items that are high value and high sell-through rate. I never strike out every single time I go. So no, I never have to stop and pick up, garbage like that. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously I do. Even after doing this for 2 decades, I still come home empty-handed all the time. And you're right. It is really difficult to not lower your standards in those situations, but I definitely do lower my standards in those situations because I get frustrated. If I'm at, gone to several garage sales and haven't picked up anything, I'm really digging around and my wife has to tell me, don't buy that garbage. It's not worth it. And I'm like, but I need something to take home and resell. So I totally get it. I try not to lower my standards, but sometimes I do. So it's just human nature. Rayuri asks, how do you price items that you've purchased in a lot? Do you spread out the cost of the lot evenly across all of the items within the lot, regardless if some items are more valuable than others? Or do you do a proportionate
proportion weighted cost on each item. Thank you in advance. Your channel has been immensely helpful. Thanks, Ray. Thanks for your question here. So yeah, when I buy stuff in a lot, I kind of do a mixture of both. Sometimes I spread the cost out evenly if the value of the items are roughly the same. That's the easy way. You just give everything. If you bought 10 things for $100, give everything a cost of good of $10. But sometimes you do this and there are items that are way more valuable than other items. In those situations, I usually give it a weighted amount. So I just kind of do this pretty roughly. So if an item's worth like $100, I might just give it 10% of the value as the cost of goods. So I might give it a cost of goods of $10, and then I'll spread the rest out over the evenly priced items or evenly valued items. So mixture of both there. You just want to make sure at the end of the day that they all add up to the total amount that you paid. However you split it up amongst the items within doesn't really matter. It's just personal preference. Karen asks, I'm not sure if you've addressed this before, but what is the best way to handle vacations? I visit my family for weeks at a time, often throughout the year. Can people still see your listings? Do you think this will hurt my business? Yeah, so if you go on vacation, don't worry about it. Leave your listings up, let them sell. If you can't ship it right away, don't worry about it. eBay doesn't care if you ship on time. So just let it go. Just let your items, they could sit for a couple days, even a couple weeks going unshipped. And, buyers might message and ask like, hey, where's my item? Don't worry about that. When you get back, it'll be fine. You can just ship it then. Seriously though, eBay hates it when you ship late. It's a huge metric that gauges your value as a seller on the platform is how quickly you ship. You can set your handling time. You can do 1-day shipping, 2-day shipping, 3-day shipping, maybe all the way up to 5. I don't know. But whatever it is, you want to ship within that handling time. So if you have a vacation coming up, eBay does offer a vacation mode. So you can turn that vacation mode on. I think it's called time away. I'm not sure. Either way, whatever it's called, you turn that on and you can specify up to 30 days that you'll be gone, and that will make your listings unavailable for purchase. Or you can do it for up to 2 weeks with making purchasing available. And so it just means that buyers will get a notification saying this seller is away on vacation. We'll be back on this day. So there's going to be a delay in shipping. The problem is when you do that, when you allow sales while you're gone, buyers tend to not read that message. And while you're sitting on the beach trying to relax, they send you a message and say, hey, when's my item going to ship? And then you got to get your phone out and be like, well, I'm on vacation. So for that reason, I typically just turn vacation mode on and don't allow sales. Just last week, I went on vacation and I kept sales on and it was fine. I did have to respond to a couple of those annoying messages. It wasn't too bad. I had to cancel 2 sales because people wanted it shipped earlier than when I was going to be back. But it's up to you. If you don't mind being bothered when you're on vacation, you can allow sales. I think you can also do like a vacation responder. So that if somebody messages you, you can automatically reply, I'm on vacation, and it'll ship when it gets back or whatever. So you could do that too. Kim asks, this was mentioned before, but could somebody inform me what BOLO is again? BOLO stands for, what does it stand for? What's something funny I could say that BOLO stands for? Let's just ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give me something funny to say. What is a funny acronym for BOLO, which really means be on the lookout? A funny acronym for BOLO could be Better Organized Lazy Observer. That's not good, ChatGPT. Let's try this again. Make it related to eBay reselling. Buyers often love oddities. No, I don't like that either. Try another one, but make it funnier. Funner. Bargains only lure out bidders. Bag outstanding loot online. No. Make it related to selling on eBay and finding inventory, but make it funny. Better offloading audit. This is not good. ChatGPT, you're not good at being funny. No, it means be on the lookout. So it's a quick way to say like, hey, Levi's jean jackets make a lot of money. BOLO, it's a BOLO. Be on the lookout for it when you're outsourcing. My hot tip of the day is don't use ChatGPT for comedy. Let Us All Be Kind asks, I have a plain looking leather satchel handbag that I want to list, but it has a high-end label, Mulberry, on the front of it. I think it's a good quality dupe. However, I thought I would not mention the label and sell it for under $100. Or should I list it and mention the name, but put in the description that I don't believe it is a genuine Mulberry brand? Yeah, throw that thing up on eBay, see how much money you can get for it. Yeah, that's against eBay policy. You can't sell counterfeit stuff on eBay, so don't even try. It's a great way to get your account banned. Even if you disclose that it's counterfeit, you're not supposed to sell counterfeit counterfeit items. It's illegal. Well, is it illegal? I don't know. Maybe it's against the law. I don't know, but it's definitely against eBay policy, so don't do it. All right, Deborah asks, I've been a successful seller on eBay until I started focusing on clothing. I switched to men's clothing a year and a half ago, but just can't get it successful. I switched because I want to downsize my storage from my house and shed to just the shed. I'm tired of living in a warehouse. I list a minimum of 5 per day every day. I think my problem is what I'm sourcing. I've tried to stock sell through of 50%, but I'm having poor luck finding them except occasionally. Any recommendation and ideas? Yeah, Deborah, it's all about quality of inventory. Whether it's clothing or whether it's any other category of things, things are going to sell more slowly or not at all. The poorer the quality or the less in demand those items are. And so if you're selling clothing and just not making it, it's probably because the clothing you're selling is just not in high demand, or it's a very saturated brand, all sorts of reasons there, but it's not clothing specific. It works that way with everything on eBay where demand is king. It doesn't matter what you have. If there's nobody out there that wants to buy it, they're not going to. And it's not just demand. Supply matters too. And so having something in demand, it could also mean that the supply is astronomical too. And that's where sell-through rate comes in. You want to make sure that what you're selling has a relatively low supply and a relatively high demand. It's not always perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's the general rule. The lower the supply, the better. The higher the demand, the better. If you have low supply and high demand, that's doubly better. So it really just depends on the type of clothing you're selling. Look at the brands, check their sell-through rate. Even within those brands, there's certain things that do well and don't do well. It's a pretty complicated category, but if you're not selling the stuff, it just means that stuff is not as sellable as other things. Melissa Barker asked, do you see any difference in ending and selling similar as opposed to revising each listing as it pertains to the eBay algorithm? I understand revising listings takes more time, but it does give me the opportunity to review my listings for anything I want to change. I'm a new part-time reseller as of January 2024, and I have less than 300 listings at this point. This is a hobby for me. Like you, I have a full-time job that I adore. Thanks. I love your channel. All right, Melissa. Yeah. So what Melissa's asking about is ending and relisting and making changes and revising listings as you're doing that. And so I am a big proponent of ending and relisting. It's not, people are on the fence. It may not, I don't have any hard evidence that ending and relisting is an effective tool. I have a lot of anecdotal evidence that ending and relisting is good though. It seems to freshen older listings up and make them more higher up in search, newer. They're treated as new listings when you do this, and it feels like eBay tends to favor new listings, and so I do a lot of ending and relisting. Typically, I just mass end about 200 at a time and relist, and I change nothing. Every once in a while, I'll do it, and I will just scan through the prices, and I'll make some adjustments to prices, lower them typically. Every once in a while, I'll do what Melissa. I'll do what Melissa says here, which is I'll revise the listings. I personally don't see a big difference. Obviously, if you're lowering the price, that is going to make a difference and make those items, more likely to sell than if they were a higher price. I actually don't know if that's true, but I do think it's a good practice to revise them. Make sure they're accurate. Adjust your keywords as necessary. Having more accurate listings, I think, is going to generally make it more likely to sell. It's not going to magically make it sell, but it's just good practice because sales happen through eBay search, and eBay search is dependent on the quality of your listings and your metadata and your keywords and your pictures and your titles and all that. And so when ending and relisting, you want to double check that all those things look good. And if they don't look good, change them. But just changing them for the sake of changing them, I don't think is necessarily going to make that relist more valuable, if that makes sense. Averly asks, I'm a small seller. I typically sell 1 to 10 items a week, and I try to list around 10 items a week. I try to knock out all of my listings for the week all at once on a single day. Contrary to your advice to list daily, should I instead just be scheduling these listings to go out daily? My apprehension about that is you can't sell what isn't listed. So in my eyes, by scheduling items, I am just delaying getting eyes on them. What's your opinion? And that's a super excellent point, and it illustrates why there's no perfect answer here and that you really should be experimenting and figuring out what works for you in particular. Because you're right, if something is not listed, it can't sell. But also, I am a proponent of consistent listing and getting new items on your store on a daily basis. And I do personally, based on my own anecdotal evidence, think that if I had 100 items to list and listing them all on Sunday, I would prefer to spread those out throughout the week, throughout the month, or however long that inventory needs to satisfy for me. Because I have found that if I stop listing,
my sales dry up. And so for me, it's important to have new items going onto the store on an almost daily basis, if you can. And those things can't sell if they're not listed and they're sitting sort of in a scheduled queue. So it's tough. It's tough to say exactly. And you hear me say this on the channel all the time, that nobody knows. Nobody can say, except for eBay, and they don't share this type of information. So nobody can say with authority which way is better. And so I'm going to tell you what I think is better, but I don't know. And some other YouTuber is going to tell you what they think is better, but they don't know. So get some advice and then trial and error. Go out and do it yourself. See what works for you. If you find that throwing everything up on a Sunday, and everything sells fine throughout the week is good, great. You could do it that way. But if you find throwing everything up on Sunday, produces less favorable results than spreading those out over the week, then do that instead. Because nobody really is going to know. Personally, what I would do is spread it out over the week. Very good question, though. All right. Matthew asks, when creating a bundle of like or similar items, how do you go about finding a price? Do you find the individual price and add them up to find a price, or do you just adjust a percentage off of that total, or do you take the time to find the exact same bundle when researching the price you want to list it for? It seems some of the bundles I do sell overnight or don't sell at all, despite similar sales of bundles in the same category. So advice you could give would be most excellent. Yeah, so Matthew's asking if you're bundling items to sell together, how do you price those items? One way is to look up the individual prices to see what is each individual thing going for, and then adding those up and then bundling the price at roughly that amount, or sometimes a little bit less to make it enticing for the buyer. That's typically what I do. It sort of depends on what I'm bundling, though. If what I'm bundling is relatively cheap and there's a lot of them, if I'm bundling like 50 books, probably not going to look up the value of each individual book, because the time it takes to list is money too. And I don't want to spend all day listing one listing that's going to make me $20, for example. So it just really depends on the situation. What else could I say about this? I usually just get a feel for the bundle. Most likely what you're selling a bundle of has similar bundles as well. And so if I have 7 pairs of jeans of Levi's, of a certain style, 527s, I'll go and look what bundling prices are for that. I'll kind of figure out what the per unit price is in the bundle. Sometimes you'll find exact comps for the same amount and the same exact thing, and it's really easy then to figure out a bundle size. Other times you kind of have to do that a little bit more investigation. But when it comes to pricing, it's really difficult to get a perfect price. I have a whole video on this called the eBay pricing problem. I'll link it somewhere. It's just really difficult to get an accurate price. And if you're not careful, you could spend literally all day trying to perfectly price your item and never actually get it perfectly priced. So I like time box pricing when I'm listing stuff. If I'm spending more than like a minute trying to find the price, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm going to get close here. Just as long as you're going to get roughly close, like I just sort of wing it. I get that I might be leaving some money on the table, but again, I prioritize the time to list over almost anything. And so, but I'm not going to like accidentally list something that's worth $1,500 for only $95. I'm not going to do that of course. I'm going to spend enough time to make sure that I know the actual value of an item. But yeah, not that anyone would do that. Where are these questions? I'm going to say that's pronounced Johan. Sir Johan Kraft asks, I have a Louis Vuitton new tags and I was told it violated the policy. What would you do? I don't know. I don't know if that violates an eBay policy specifically. I would have to look. But if eBay ever tells you that what you're listing violates one of their policies, like trust that and don't try to list it again, because even if you see other people listing the same thing, it's just not worth it. If you want to have long-term success on eBay, one sale does not matter. And so if they're telling you don't list this thing on eBay, say, okay, sorry, I won't do it again. Otherwise, you just risk getting suspended, either temporarily or permanently. And if you get permanently suspended, if your account gets taken away forever, they make it very difficult to get another account. You have to have a different address. You have to have a different bank account. You have to have a different social security number. You have to have a different IP address. It's very difficult. It's not impossible. There's plenty of people out there who have had their accounts suspended and have figured out how to get new accounts, but it's just not a thing you want to have to go through. So just don't sell things that they don't want you to sell. And even if a new tagged Louis Vuitton bag like that is within the policy, it's not the type of thing I'm personally going to want to sell on eBay anyway. I think it's just too expensive. It's an area that has too many scams. I just don't want to run the risk. I wouldn't buy that in the first place to resell, because it is in a category where I don't know much about it. And I would be too worried that there's going to be problems in selling it on eBay. There's probably other services and places where it would make more sense to sell it, like through consignment. I know some people use the RealReal to sell things on consignment, like luxury items. The RealReal is a website where you send all your stuff to them. I actually have done a consignment with them. This was several years ago. I bought like 150 pairs of Converse. Typically, they wouldn't take Converse because that's not a luxury brand, but it was in collaboration with another designer. I can't remember the name offhand. I'll throw it up on the screen. Anyway, I sent them 150 pairs of shoes, and they lost all of them for like 6 months, and nobody would respond to my messages. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I just lost out on thousands of dollars of inventory by mailing them to RealReal, and now they're not responding. They eventually did find them and list them and then sold them for me. So it ended up okay, but it's a little kind of dicey. This is like a publicly traded company too. I was kind of surprised that they were as relaxed about losing thousands of dollars worth of my inventory as they were, but there you go. I wouldn't use them again for that reason, but I don't know, maybe other people might be fine with it. So, all right, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, YouTube thinks you might like this other video of mine, so check it out.